Attributor is a plugin for BricsCAD which adds the capability of configuring and using drop-down lists on block attribute tags, allowing for faster data entry, more efficient processes, and improved data accuracy. Let's jump in and take a look at how Attributor works. Let's start by seeing how a normal process of entering a regular block using the insert command works. This is an attributed block, and we'll get a dialog once we've placed the block that allows us to fill out the attribute values. This is great because we can add various properties to any given block. However, if, for example, there is a certain list of device sizes that we want, that's going to mean that the user has no guidance as to what to enter here. So, if we enter a value, it may not be a valid value downstream, say when the dataset gets to a GIS. Or, for numeric values, the user may enter just text which will be accepted. This is obviously an issue. Attributor solves this problem. Let's try inserting that same block, this time using Attributor. When installed, Attributor provides a sample menu which we'll look at later on. There are also two commands added in the add-ins ribbon: block insert with Attributor and block edit with Attributor. These essentially are enhanced versions of the insert command and the edit command. If we go to block insert with Attributor, we'll get prompted for the name of the block. Providing that, then just like with the insert command, we'll put the block down and enter the required information such as scale, etc. Once that is applied, the Attributor dialog comes up, providing us with an enhanced version of the insert attribute dialog we saw before. Here we can choose the type of device and the size from a drop-down list. So, Attributor allows us not only to use these drop-down lists, but to also create our own drop-down lists from simple text files. You'll notice that these are coded values. Attributor allows us to see the codes, which are what will be entered as the value, but Attributor also allows us to see the description. In the drop-downs that we set up in our text files, we can also add in a human-readable description. It's the same thing over here in the block. We have the tag, which is the name in the block, as well as the prompts in the block. If we see anything marked with an asterisk, those are mandatory values and Attributor will guide the user to enter data in those fields. For example, if we don't put in a mandatory value for this then hit OK, Attributor will then alert us that we have mandatory values that are missing. This can be overridden by hitting OK a second time, thus submitting the incomplete records, or we can go back and complete the missing data. Once we hit OK, Attributor will place the block. These two blocks are the same block, but one was entered with Attributor. If we look at the block, we can find its properties and see that it has the attribute data in it here. The second command that Attributor provides is editing with Attributor. With this tool we can go in and edit multiple blocks of the same type at the same time. Once again Attributor will prompt us with the values. If we say edit blocks simultaneously, it will show us which ones are mandatory and allow us to make bulk edits. We can edit them directly and choose to zoom to each one, if we did a multiple edit. We can then apply that change and continue with our edits moving forward. One final thing about using Attributor is we can also put in a macro command within a custom menu. A sample menu with Attributor is provided upon install. This allows us to access elements directly, without having to remember the name of the block and what layer it needs to go on. We can simply choose one of these menu options. In the sample menu, you can see some examples of blocks. The NCS is a data standard using National CAD Standard for blocks, and the GIS standard from OpenSpatial. Down here is WSpec, which is part of the ASpec set of standards from Australia. Let's try to place a hydrant. It automatically knows which layer and will prompt us for scale and rotation, and then it will show the dialog box in Attributor to fill in its attributes, allowing us to override as necessary. After it's placed, we can also go in and edit that block again. Attributor also allows us to provide the configurations for what gets displayed inside of the dropdowns. This is done by using simple text files. Attributor has extensive documentation to help you configure your text files. Attributor is a small part of the As Constructed Design Certification Solution, ACDC, from OpenSpatial. ACDC provides both cloud and desktop self-validation capabilities of DWG drawings against industry or custom data standards in the cloud. ACDC validates entities on layers, attributes of blocks, spatial checks such as isolated blocks or lines without blocks, and more. In short, ACDC greatly improves efficiencies and enables automated comprehensive data checking and structuring of CAD and attribute data before loading data into GIS and/or CMMS systems. The ACDC solution supports custom CAD, attribute, and GIS standards. For more information about our ACDC solution, check out www.asconstructed.com. You can download Attributor, the free BricsCAD plugin from the BricsCAD App Store or from our website at www.asconstructed.com/get-attributor.